Industries, and the equipment is owned by the Toronto Artillery Foundation, stored at Moss Park Armory in Toronto. Now, the original intent of purchasing this stuff was for the gunners of the 7th Toronto Regiment, Royal Canadian Artillery, to man the gun for ceremonial shoots as their #1 gun. Now, it turns out there are too many operational duties, so the Limber Gunners evolved as an organization, a volunteer organization, just like the museum here, to maintain and display the equipment. If you've been to Queen's Park for Remembrance Day and you hear that big boom, or anywhere in Toronto, it's these guys making the big boom. It's so loud they actually set it up behind Queen's Park, and it is just amazing. They've done a wonderful job. Look at the shape of the tractor. See this slant back? The Americans copied that for the Humvee some 40 years later. So there's a lot of cool things the Canadians did in design. Now, when we see infantry regiment, they always have a ceremonial flag. They call it their colors. But these guys, the gun is the colors. That's it right there. They don't have a flag. They got a gun. Now, this 25-pounder was the primary gun in Canadian field artillery regiments in the Second War. It was also used in the Korean War. Many other countries continued using it forever. And they're going to be ready shortly. We'll see how they're doing here. We're going to load her up. This is loud, by the way. These aren't cap guns. Imagine trying to set that up with the enemy trying to bomb you too. Sounds like a little one isn't that happy. Wait till the gun goes off. Number 9 battery, and my command fire 3 rounds on your assigned target. Fire! These guys are very quick. And what would be happening out in the field is those recon patrols would be calling in targets, calling in direction for them. They had wireless radios, but remember at the start of the war, we didn't have very much stuff. The Germans had it all, and it really took us by surprise. The tactics did. They were using aircraft and armored vehicles and infantry all coordinated. We hadn't seen that before, but the Canadians caught on quick. We started building vehicles. We started building radios, and some of the people that worked in the factories gave their lives as freely as the soldiers did, especially some of the women that were working on aircraft instruments and radios. Turned out the dials, and there's some over in the OMV area, the paint was actually radioactive. And if you touched it and later touched your lips, you would die, and most of them actually did. There were some buildings in Toronto. There's one of the fellows over there is ex-Ministry of Labor radiation investigator, tells me about some of the old buildings that they found, even as late as in the 80s, that had been radioactive. There had been some of this paint spilled back when they were building that kind of stuff throughout the buildings. Some of them have been sealed off, nobody knew, and unsealed them. Most are collected now. And interestingly too, even in the junkyard, if somebody tries to scrap an old military vehicle, it will often trigger Geiger counters because of the phosphorus and radium in the instruments. If you're ever working on an old military vehicle, one of the things you don't do is open up a gauge and blow the dust out. That'll actually kill you. If you're interested in buying and restoring military vehicles, there are parts around. Some of the vehicles are, they still actually make the parts, and some of the parts are interchangeable, some of the mechanical parts. And these days with the internet, it's kind of fun. I just finished a World War II Dodge, and most of them had been a Canadian vehicle. similar, well, same model as the one we saw earlier, the APT. But I actually ended up getting the parts back from the Dutch. I got parts back from Holland for my Canadian truck because they ship most of them in the parts there. So it's kind of fun. You still find them in hunt camps and cottages. A few weeks ago I got a call from a family. They were selling the family cottage and they had Grandpa's Universal Carrier, which looks like a little tank. They had it since after the war, and we found it a good home with a member of the Ontario Military Vehicle Association. If you know where vehicles are like that, let me know, or any of the museum staff. They're always interested in rescuing them if they're out in the bush or out in the field. And these days scrap prices are high and we want to save that Canadian history. Also, if you have one and you want to donate it, the museum doesn't have money, but they do have tax receipts, which are good as money. Sometimes better. It's a pretty generous receipt, so whether it's a vehicle or stuff. Now we're going to see some World War II vehicles here, and we'll tell you a little bit about them. The Limber Gunners are going to be back in action in our next scenario. That